Winston, you've been crazy, homie. Substack. What's up, Substack? I can't tell if I'm live or not. I think it's like there's a little bit of lag. Um, because it's like your internet connection is unstable. And like, yeah, dude, I get it. Like, I'm like on mobile or whatever. Oh my gosh, dude. Nick Allen, what's up, brother? How are you? Um, yeah, I'm on the 5G, so it's not as stable as the Wi-Fi. So I get it. I get it, Substack. But it's also true that on the 5G, I can make video calls and it's like pretty damn good quality. Morning, Nick. It's it's not great, but it's like probably like 720 at least. And one time I drove from Phoenix to St. George, Utah, and I was on a video call the entire time. I had one of those little things where you like mount your phone, and I was on a video call the whole time, and it was like I don't know, 9 hour drive maybe. Hey, Dave and Ann, you guys are on a road trip. You got service. You guys are somewhere in between Boise and Reno, so you guys will be in and out of service. But yeah, so I drove from Phoenix to St. George, Utah, and I was on a video call the entire time, and like it it worked. It was good. I don't know why Substack seems to have a hard time with like the bit rate, I guess. I don't know. The last thing I did when I did this little live from mobile, the video quality was horrible. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just a me thing or if it's just a Substack thing or what. Um, but that's something Substack could improve on. Anne is sleeping. Oh, you guys, yeah, you guys are in the van. Yeah, it ain't great. Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what the deal is, Substack. Like, is your API that heavy or like, I don't know, dude. I can be on like a Google video call on mobile, and it's great. But whatever. You guys are doing pretty amazing things over there at Substack, and I'm grateful to be here for it. Um, because yeah, dude, Substack's like it's like you take the best parts of like Medium and Twitter and Instagram and like these other platforms and Blogger and shit like that. Like take the best parts of all these platforms and kind of put them together into one app where everything is centrally located in the same place. Um, Makes it easier for people like us. We're trying to do stuff with the medium. We're trying to create material. We're trying to produce work and share it with the world. And Substack is doing a pretty good job of making that easy for us. So I'm not here to complain. Just commenting on something I've noticed. As you can see and maybe infer, because you can't actually see. How do I turn the camera around? As you can see, we are walking with the dogs. Winston, what are you looking at, dude? Because it's almost noon here, and it's hot outside. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and I'm sweating a little bit, and that's weird because it's like holiday time, dude. It's Christmas in like 2 days. Um, and it's like snowing and stuff in other parts of the world, in other parts of America, actually, even in other parts of Arizona, like up north, there's snow on the ground. And down here in central Arizona, it's still hot. Um, but, it is what it is. I just went to the store and bought some tobacco. The store is right over there, across that little street. Just went over there, bought some chew. Charlie, you're being stupid. Charlie, stop. And I went up to the counter to get my tobacco, and it was not one of the normal dudes. There's a couple people that work at the counter that are like normals, regulars or whatever, and I know them, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And they'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And then I'll get to the counter, and they'll be like, "You want your chew?" And I'll be like, "Yes, please." And then they get it from underneath the thing because it's hard to find because almost no one buys it. I'm like one of the only people that buys the chew I buy. So it's always like an awkward thing. I always have to like ask for it. And if they don't know what it is, I have to give them instructions on what it is and where to find it. Because nobody chews loose leaf chewing tobacco. And out of all the people who do, Darian, Delta, what's cracking? Out of all the people who do chew loose leaf tobacco, there are multiple brands. And so it's like a very, very, very small selection pool. And then it's further subdivided by brand preference. So a lot of clerks have no idea when I go up to the counter and I'm like, "Hey, can I get some Red Man?" It's actually called America's Best now. So I have to say, "Can I get some America's Best?" And they're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's chewing tobacco." And they're like, "Oh, like Copenhagen?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kind of like Copenhagen. But it's loose leaf chewing tobacco and it comes in a little bag instead of being chopped up tiny stuff that comes in a little tin." And it used to be called Red Man. And then they recently changed the name to America's Best. Although they held out, they waited a lot longer than I thought they would have if they were going to. Because like the Washington football team, you guys remember that? They were like the Redskins. And then they changed their name. And I think maybe another sports team did something similar. But I don't know if it was the Braves or the Indians or the Warhawks or not Warhawks, Blackhawks. I don't know, man. I'm not a sports guy, really. I just know that there were a lot of quote unquote insensitively named sports teams. And I know there are less, although there are some that didn't change their name. Whatever. That's all silly. But Redman waited a long time to change their name. And they finally did maybe like a year and a half ago. So of all the clerks that do know what Red Man is, if I say, "Can I get some America's Best?" they kind of scoff and they are like, "Oh, you must be a little woke fag. You're calling it by its new name." And I was like, "Excuse me, sir or madam, I'm not a little woke fag. The reason I'm calling it by its new name is because almost nobody knows what it is. And so when I say Red Man, like that's meaningless. So I call it by the new name because I have to like explain what the package looks like and tell them like, yeah, it's probably by the Copenhagen. It comes in like a green and white bag, blah, blah, blah. But the clerks that know me, when I get up to the counter, they're like, "You need some chew today?" And I'm like, "Yes, please." And then they ring me up. And then we go on about our merry ways and our merry days. But the guy today, I didn't know him. He didn't know me. So it was cool. So I got a little beverage. And I was like, "Can I get some of the green America's Best?" And he looked at me like, "What?" And then I was like, "It's the chewing tobacco. It's in a little bag. It's under the counter." And I pointed to it and he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So he was ringing me up. And then a lady came up to the counter next to me, and I don't know what had in her hand, but she had one thing in her hand, and he rang her up, and then she asked for alcohol, just in general. She said, "Do you guys have any alcohol?" And that was odd, right? Like most of the time, you don't go to the convenience store and ask for alcohol like that. Oh, here, look, we're at the grass with Winston. Loves the grass. Winston, are you trying to swim in the grass? You guys see that? Winston is swimming in the grass, dude. Charlie, what are you doing? Oh, come on. So most of the time, you don't go to the convenience store and say, "Do you have any alcohol?" "Excuse me, Mr. Storeman, do you have any alcohol?" That was a little weird. So I was like, "Who's interesting?" And she didn't look all like messed up. She looked like a normal lady. So I don't know. It was just weird. And then the guy was like, "Yeah, we have like cheap stuff. We have like Fireball and stuff like that. Captain Morgan's, blah, blah, blah." And the lady was like, "Yeah, that'll do." Like, he named off a few brands of liquor, and the lady just said, "Yeah, that'll do." I was like, "Oh man, this is sad, dude." And he's like, "Well, like, what do you want? You want like a fifth or whatever?" And she's like, "I do, like, whatever, whatever." And she pulled out like a whole bunch of change from her pocket and started counting her change. And it was like $7, I think, in like dimes and quarters and nickels. Winston, you're so cute, buddy. Are you trying to swim in the ocean of grass? You're so weird. It's like $7, all in change. So she got, I don't know, whatever she had in her hand. It was probably like a stick of gum or something, and a couple shooters. And it was fucking sad, dude. It was really, really sad. And it like brought me back to like a time and place that makes me very, very sad. My name is Nance, and I'm an alcoholic. But it's true, man. I don't drink ever at all anymore because I'm a problematic drinker. And there was a point in time in my life when I tried to drink myself to death, and it was like a long series of events that precipitated by one singular event. And there was like a part of me that was like aware the entire time of what was happening. Like I was a professional. I had a job. I was a respectable guy, you know, like I had a job, I had a social life, I had status. I knew my neighbors. It wasn't like I was just some asshole, you know, like I had a life, had a mortgage, had a bunch of shit going on. And I started drinking. And look, when I was a kid, I had problems with drugs and alcohol. But I sobered up when I was a young adult, and it never really was a problem. Like my life was cool. I was living my life. I was doing my thing, and I would get fucked up sometimes on the weekends, do a little bit of blow, get drunk, eat some mushrooms, do some acid, something like that every once in a while. And it was like a thing. I was like a recreational substance user, and it was no big deal. And then one very specific thing happened, and my life fell apart, and that changed. And I started drinking, like slowly but surely. I started drinking every day. And it started out as this thing where when I got home from work, I would have a few shots of whiskey to kind of, you know, whatever, numb the pain or dull the pain or whatever. And then I would go to sleep. Uh, and then that started progressing, got more and more. Charlie, stop it. I started drinking more and more. Instead of a couple shots, it was 10 shots. It was always liquor, never beer. Um, Beer was always a thing for like parties, right? Liquor was the thing to get fucked up. And getting fucked up was not like, oh, this is so fun. I'd love to be fucked up. I'm having so much fun. Getting fucked up was this thing where it was like, I need to turn my brain off because I can't do this anymore. I can't stand being conscious and cognizant right now. So it went from like having a few shots every night before I went to bed to having a lot of shots every night before I went to bed. And then that went from having a lot of shots every night before I went to bed to drinking a whole fifth of whiskey every night before I went to bed. And then that went, okay, look, this is hilarious. Winston likes to be pulled. Look, Winston's getting pulled. I'm a tow truck and I have a puppy. I'm a tow truck. Do you like that, Winston? Do you like that? This is weird. This video is gonna be weird. First of all, I don't know how the quality is gonna be. Probably gonna be shit. And I'm over here like talking about real shit. And then that's interrupted by me playing with the two cutest puppies in the entire world. I just can't help it. You guys don't understand what it's like to have the cutest dogs in the world. Winston, stop. I don't know. That's odd, right? It's an odd tension in a single video to contain. But that's what we do here, guys. We break conventions. Anyway, so started drinking a fifth a night, and then that progressed into drinking a fifth a night and occasionally having a shot or two in the morning, hair of the dog. Because I never used to get hungover. And I didn't start getting hangovers until this period of time in my life when I started drinking a fifth of whiskey every night. I started getting hangovers and I still had to go to work. And I had a gnarly job. It had a lot of physical elements to it. It also had a lot of mental and emotional elements to it. So it required a lot. It took a lot. And I did a good job, I think, rising to the challenge. And yeah, but I started having some shots every now and then in the morning to cure the hangover, hair of the dog. If there's anybody out there listening and you wake up with a hangover sometimes, try taking a shot or two. You know, it's actually pretty crazy. That hair of the dog thing really actually works. Just don't get yourself to the point where you like rely on it, because then it actually becomes a problem. But if you're, I don't know, in your 20s and you party and it's not destructive and like you're still able to do your job and maintain your relationships and everything's going well for you, and it just happens to be the case that you sometimes, Winston, no. It just so happens to be the case that you sometimes find yourself waking up with a hangover. Try the old reliable method of hair of the dog. But anyway, so I went from, drinking every once in a while on the weekends as a social guy to drinking nightly, to drinking a fifth nightly, to drinking a fifth nightly, and also sometimes having a few shots in the morning. And that progressed into it was like a pretty much daily thing, where I would start the day off by having a couple shots. And then it got to the point where I was going through 2 bottles of whiskey every day. And that was gnarly, dude. And I was like, God damn it, Charlie. I'm about to get angry. I'm about to turn my phone off so I can scream, because you guys are being stupid. So it got to the point where I was on a first name basis with the people at the liquor store and the convenience stores by my house. They all knew me. They knew me as the guy who came in driving the Volvo, wearing the shirt and tie, and getting 2 bottles of whiskey every night. Yeah, it was gnarly, dude. But it was a very unhappy place. You know, thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, you know. But, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess. Zola, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Fortunately or otherwise, I don't drink anymore, and I don't do drugs anymore. Every once in a while, I will eat a very low dose cannabis gummy or chocolate or mint or something. But for the most part, I'm a boring dude, and that's cool. That's the way I like it. But seeing this lady at the store this morning, purchasing shooters with change from her pocket, made me really sad. And who knows, man? Maybe everything's going well for this chick, and she just left her card and her cash, you know, back at the house. She had a bunch of change in the ashtray in her car, and they were on their way to go do something, and she just wanted to get a couple shooters to have fun. You know, that could be the case. Like I said, she looked normal. She looked like a normal person, but that doesn't really mean much because most people look normal. And I don't think it's actually like a very good habit to get into of like judging people based on their appearances. But it is, okay, it's also true that there are some people that just look ate up. You know what I'm saying? Tore up from the floor up. You know what I'm saying? You can look at some people and you can be like, oh, they don't have much going on for them. And she was definitely not one of those people. What you saying? I'm talking about the lady at the gas station or the convenience store this morning, the wino, or the apparent wino, I don't know. It could be the case that everything is well, you know, everything's great in her life, and she just wanted to get a couple shots of cheap liquor for whatever reason, you know, whatever random situation. But it didn't feel like it. It sure did feel like this lady was struggling. And yeah, I've been there. I mean, the people at the liquor store like knew me by name. You know, I would walk in and they would grab my whiskey and put it on the counter. Actually, like towards the end of my drinking, like when I quit drinking, and this was kind of a process. Like it didn't happen immediately. I would say maybe it took place over a 6-month period. I did go cold turkey, but I also didn't stay cold turkey. But it was like, what, you know, I would quit and I wouldn't touch a drink for a week, and I would drink. Then I would go 5 weeks, and then I would drink. And so that was kind of the struggle for me. But over the course of this 6-month period, probably I went cold turkey. The bottled Gil Scott Heron Dowd. I'm not sure what that means. But yeah, like I went to the liquor store, and one of the ladies there who I knew, and I think I knew her outside of work. That's the thing too. During this period, not only was I getting smashed daily and nightly, and not only was I kind of always drunk, like I was always in like a liquor haze. During that period, I also was very promiscuous, and I was sowing my wild oats, as they say. And being a dude, you know, working all the time and like a quote unquote responsible family man, it wasn't the case that I was going out and partying and meeting girls everywhere. So I kind of ran through like all the girls at the gas stations in my neighborhood, and like some of the girls at the grocery store, and the like all the bartender ladies. I actually took a girl on a date to the bar, and it was the bar like right in the neighborhood, and I had slept with like maybe 4 or 5 of the female waitresses, bartenders. And it's also like I didn't realize it's not a good idea to take a girl on a date there. Like you don't want to take a girl on a date to the place where you're whoring yourself out, you know? But whatever. So anyway, like I knew this lady. And like I remember one time I went and bought liquor. Alex was cracking. I went up to the counter. I had my whiskey sitting there on the counter. And the lady just was in tears. She was just fucking bawling. And she was like, "You don't have to do this, you know?" And like we made eye contact. And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I still have to do it," or some dumb bullshit. I went and bought my liquor and went and did my thing. But yeah, like that moment, like I could still see that lady's eyes. Like when I close my eyes, like I can very clearly recall the look on her face when she was just like, "Oh my God, you're doing this to yourself." And like, I'm sure she was having a moment of like, should I refuse service? Like this guy's one of our regular customers. He's in there all the time. Should I tell him, "No, I'm not going to sell this to you"? Like he's killing himself. Not only is he killing himself, but it's like not safe. Like I was a drunk driver. Like I definitely drove around shit faced. I used to get in fights and like just horrible shit. Um, like I know she had that moment of like, damn, should I try to make like a moral choice? But she couldn't because it was her job. And I'm sure she was like, well, shit, if I like refuse this guy's service, I'll probably get fired. Um, or maybe she was like, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm not trying to like uh, insinuate myself into this guy's personal life or whatever. Because that's the thing we all do too. You know, we all walk around through the world and we say like, oh, you know, it's not personal, it's business. That's this kind of like safety. Oh, we're not going that way. There's a dog over there. And my dogs are nice and friendly, but they're too nice and too friendly. And they don't understand boundaries and personal space. So I try to avoid other dogs because they just want to hug and lick and cuddle with every human and every other dog in the world. And you can't do that. Like my dogs are Deluso-Guitarian. Like how like if the world was the one where D&G just kind of allowed desiring production to reign free, there was no prohibition in this way. Like that's the world that my dogs live in. There's no boundaries, there's no limits. The world is their chew toy, but also their lick mat and their cuddle buddy. Yeah, dude, I cut myself off and now I don't remember what I was saying. But anyway, it made me sad. I went to buy my chew this morning and there was a lady getting her fix. That made me really sad, dude. I've been there before. And there's really nothing anyone else can do, you know. It kind of takes some kind of like inner realization. Something has to break. Like people are like, "Oh, you can't keep going this way," you know. Something's got to give. The bottom's going to fall out. The wheels are going to fall off. Blah blah blah. Whatever we use metaphors. But it is true that something is going to break, and something has to break, and that something kind of has to be, you know, in the subject's own interiority. No nice words, no performative actions, no platitudes. Nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna stop. Nothing's gonna help. It legitimately has to be something that comes from the subject themselves. So I felt really bad, and like I was like, damn, I kind of just want to give this lady a hug. I don't know. I mean, I didn't. Um, that would have been weird. Like if you're that guy, I mean, fuck, dude, I was that guy, and people would sometimes do performative acts, and it just made it worse. It just kind of reinforced the drive to obliterate myself. When people went out of their way to try to like perform, oh, I care about you. Because it was like, yeah, like obviously I already know that. Like I already know, because there was still a dude who lived in my head who was aware and cognizant of all of it. And he was tracking. And he wanted to die. But he didn't, shoot himself. He thought, oh, I can drink myself to death. But yeah, like I knew I was a horrible wreck. I knew I was the punchline of a joke. So whenever other people would like make that explicit, like it just made it worse. It just made me want to get more fucked up. It just made me want to go get in more fights and go do all that stuff. So I didn't say or do anything to her with this lady, but I wanted to. Felt bad for her. And the clerk didn't seem to mind. I don't know, maybe he's just got a good poker face. Or maybe I was too, like, attenuated to the lady and I wasn't paying enough attention to him. But anyway, alcohol is evil. That's my conservative stance. Alcohol is the devil. And drugs are bad. Although I do think it's possible to have like a healthy relationship to substance use. And I do feel like that's kind of like always on an individual basis. I don't think prohibition is a good strategy or solution, because just like with everything else, prohibition eroticizes and it misses the point. So while I do think people should design their lives in a way that they don't have room, time, space to drink and to drugs and to do drugs and to do all that, just avoid it altogether. Don't put yourself in that situation. I also think like if you have a healthy lifestyle, you're far more likely to be the type of person who can have a casual, healthy, adaptive relationship to substance use. And I think that's probably where, most people are. Most people find themselves somewhere near the middle of the spectrum, with extremes on either side, and extremes being total abstinence versus total consumption, right? So I'm not up here to moralize. I'm not up here to be like, this is what you should and should not do. I'm just here to walk my dogs and share some words with you. Because it's nice outside. Once again, I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, dude. You should all come to Phoenix. Like, the weather's great. The weather's, well, here in a couple months, it's going to be like hot again. It's going to be up in the 90s again. And then a couple months after that, it'll be up in the hundreds. But for now, weather's beautiful. And that is why we have a lot of snowbirds. We have a lot of winter visitors here in Phoenix. A lot of Canadians winter down here. And a lot of other people from like the Midwest spend their winters in Arizona and then go back home during the summer, because in the summer when it's 120 degrees and there's no water, then people are wanting to get the F out of here. But yeah, And also, it's Christmas. Christmas is coming up. Um, so there's all that. I don't like Christmas. I don't like holidays in general. Um, but also, if you're into that, happy Christmas. I hope you enjoy whatever rituals and traditions you get up to. If you do spend it with family, I don't know, if you do something special. Most people do something special. So have fun. Good luck with all that. Don't let the bed bugs bite or whatever. Also, um, I'm really, really stoked on this ongoing project that Dave and I are working on. It's sound. We are engineering sound experiences. Some might even call it music, although I think there is a worthwhile distinction to be made between what we're doing and what the world recognizes as music. But yeah, music. I mean, it's a useful shorthand, but that doesn't entirely capture what we're doing with our project. So, like I said, it's a useful shorthand. We're making music. We're experimenting with sound. I'm really stoked on it. Dave's uploaded a couple tracks, and I just uploaded my second track. We're not promoting it. We're not sharing it with anybody. We're just using it, and we have used it, and we got some really good feedback and response from people who were kind of party to us using it. So that's cool. So if you're a cool person on the internet, and you spend time with Theory Underground or with 3 Billion Dances, you will come across these sound experiences. And maybe you'll even like figure out how to get there and be like, oh, I found your guys' secret channel with your secret uploads. It's probably not that hard to find, but it's also probably not easy to find. My YouTube channel itself is already hard to find. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm stoked about that. So I'm actually probably gonna go listen to that while I read a book. And post up and chill and drink some tea and probably respond to some emails and get some work done and also get some relaxation done. So anyway, Nick, it's good to see you. Alex, good to see you. Dave, drive safe. Who was it? Darian was also here. Darian, good to see you. And Zola, good to see you as well. So I'm gonna jump up off this and I'm gonna get back to my thing. But anyway, thanks everybody for popping in and saying hello. And we'll see you on the next thing we do. Peace out, everybody.